welcome to the Suburbs of New York City YouTube channel. My name's Jeff Massey. I'm a realtor here in the North Jersey area, kind of on the Midtown Direct Line coming out of Penn Station going towards Morristown. And I service the areas in between Morristown, surrounding Morristown, all the way over to South Orange, Maplewood, Short Hills, Milburn, Summit, Chatham, Berkeley Heights, New Providence, and all over that area there. So today we're going to be talking about seller seminar. If you're thinking about selling your home, I'd love to give you some insights, and I'd love to eventually get in touch with you, hopefully. There is a link over here that you can scan this QR code, and there's also a link on the channel. I'll add it down below in the chat once I'm done. And you can always scan that QR code and book a call so we could set up time to discuss your particular needs. If you're a seller, if you're a buyer, you can also scan that QR code. If you're here just curious as a buyer, you can also scan that QR code, and we could also set up a call and talk about buying. But today we're going to be discussing the seller seminar, and I hope you stick around whether or not you're a buyer or a seller. And before I go any further, I just want to ask the people that are watching if you can hear me. I think you can hear me, but I just want to double check. Because, hold on, this is my first live. Yeah, it looks like my audio is working, so I'm just going to mute myself again on there. So anyway, sorry for the pause there. Let's jump over into the presentation. And like I said, you can put questions down in the chat. If you'd like to come on, there is a Zoom link. You can join us on Zoom as well. There is a link that I just put down in the chat, so don't forget that. Love to interact with people and have one-on-one conversations. You don't have to put your video on. You can just ask questions, or you can also type questions into the chat. That'd be a lot of fun as well. Either way, happy to help. So let's jump into this presentation here. Let me get rid of this countdown. So this is our presentation for, again, seller seminar, your key to max price, and it's a home selling process, obviously. So this is something that's different that not a lot of agents talk about, and there's a lot of keys to success in the selling process, and that's what we're going to be going through in this presentation. So let me just click here and see if we can navigate here. So the first, I called it the key strategy. So key, K-E-Y, we've made that a little bit of an acronym here. So knowledge powered decisions is the K. Exceptional experiences. So we're here to educate you like we're doing on the channel, and we're here to provide excellent experiences throughout our professional relationship, not only on the channel but also in person as we start working together. And then your success first. So we're always going to put you in front of ourselves to make sure that we get the project done, whether it be a buyer or a seller, and put your needs first and how we can help you. So that's our key to success, more broadly speaking. So let's go and jump into where the seller presentation really exists here. And apologies in advance if you are listening. There is about a 20-second delay. So if you do type something in and I don't reply right away, feel free to interrupt me. But if you do type something into the chat and I don't reply right away, it's because there is about a 20-minute lag. Sorry, not 20-minute, 20-second lag. So please bear with me, and I'll try and answer questions as quickly as I can, as soon as I see them there in the chat. So once again, my name's Jeff Massey. I used to be in the architecture world. I got my Bachelor of Architecture when I was an undergrad. And then later on in my career, I did a Master of Science in Real Estate when I was living abroad in the UK. I've worked in investment companies, and I've also worked in real estate companies, both in Manhattan and now here in Jersey. Been out in Jersey here for about 4 years and really been loving it. I can go into more detail about my background, but I have other videos about that you can certainly check out if you're interested. But I just wanted to tell you more about myself and kind of introduce this topic: how to sell faster for more money with less stress. And so here's the kind of presentation slide. This is what we're going to be talking about and what we're going to discuss. So key number one is preparation. It's probably the the biggest topic that sort of scares a lot of people and kind of creates a situation where they keep kicking the can down the road. And so if you're in that position and you were kind of curious about this seminar, and that's why you logged in, we can talk about that and how we can take steps to kind of start to prepare ourselves mentally for the road ahead there. But then once we've gotten past that and we start doing that work, because that is a lot of work. And by the way, I should mention, this isn't the only way to sell. It's just, in my opinion, the best way to sell to get the maximum price. There are other ways if you're in a hurry or you don't want to deal with cleaning up the house. We can talk about condition later. That would be in a situation where maybe we can get you an all-cash offer from an investor. That's a totally different situation, and maybe we can go forward with that from a different perspective. But this is talking from this perspective of your house is actually in pretty good condition or pristine condition, and we're just going to get it really polished up so we can get it to the best price point possible and get you what you're looking for, if that's your goal. If your goal is to be quicker, obviously people would like to get the most amount of money, but sometimes that does come with some work. So that's what I want to preface here before I go into the next discussion. Key number 2 is the fundamentals, and I'm going to talk about the real estate success triangle. Excuse me, I've had a cold for the past few days, so I'm just getting over that, so I might cough from time to time. Just have a sip of water. Once again, there is a Zoom link in the chat if you want to join us live on Zoom and ask any questions. So key number 2, fundamentals. We're going to talk about the 3 sort of the triangle of success for real estate. And key number 3 is our marketing strategy. And again, there's a theme here of 3 things. So it's a triple tiered approach, which we'll go into in more detail. So again, I put a question section here, as you can see right here. If you do have any questions during the seminar, please definitely put them in the chat. I'd love to discuss them with you. I'm happy to interrupt because I want people to be able to speak their mind if they have a question that comes up. If you want to hold it off to the end, definitely write it down so you can remember it and then bring it up later on. But feel free to jump in. So what I would like to say is, what brings you to the seminar? Is there something, is this kind of a current topic for you that you've been thinking about and how we can potentially help you there? And again, is there anything that you want me to touch on in the presentation before we even get started? So put that down in the chat. We'd love to hear those comments, and then as we go through things, we can start to talk about some of those questions or comments you might have. So let's keep going. All right, so hopefully everyone can hear me. I'm just checking one other thing. Sorry, before I get going, let me just put this in case anything's going on here that I need to hear. So anyways, okay, the key number 1, preparation. And this, like I said, is one of the scarier pieces for people to kind of get the ball rolling, so to speak. And really a lot of people start with step number 1, decluttering, right? So you have to start to clean out your house. A lot of people, maybe they've been living there for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, maybe more. And you build up a lot of stuff. As George Carlin liked to say, a house is a place where you keep your stuff, and he used other words, but a house is a place where you keep your stuff while you're out getting other stuff. So if you've got 30, 40 years of stuff, you probably need to start decluttering, thinking about where you're going to start to either get rid of things or put them into storage or sort through them, donate some things. So that's where decluttering becomes a huge thing. Maintenance and upgrades, we'll talk about a little bit more in detail. If there's repairs that you need to address, if there's strategic improvements that we want to consider, and how we can maximize your investment on that. And then professional staging in the end could be something that really puts it over the top for your particular home, and it all depends again on price point and where we're trying to strategically place that. So before we even go into that, I want to talk about why do we go back here. So why do we need to do this, right? Like if we're trying to get the max price, do we really need to do this? And I like to kind of step back and put people in the shoes of kind of from the perspective of the hospitality industry. And so picture yourself going into a hotel, right? And I've got this Bulgari resort here, and I'm just going to play this in the background. I'm actually going to mute it just so you don't have double audio. But when you're walking through a hotel, you feel welcomed and you feel at ease. And this is the same thing that we're trying to convey to potential buyers when they're walking into a home. And if you're a buyer listening right now, or if you're a seller listening who started to preview homes because you're thinking about moving and you're trying to see where you're going to go, you can start to get that feeling of ease or frustration when you walk into a home. And so that's why I like to take it back to being on vacation. This is an extreme example, right? Because it's in a tropical place with a beautiful view, and you've got pools and all this kind of thing. But it again kind of talks about that idea of feeling at ease. You want people that are coming into the home and feeling comfortable that they're going to sit down on the couch and really start to take it in. Like, what is it going to be like to live in this home? And you really want that. If they're not feeling comfortable, they're probably not going to get to the level of, hey, am I ready to spend a lot of money on this place? And oh, by the way, there's other people interested, so maybe that's sort of scaring them off. So let me get rid of that and go to our next slide. So what I mean by all this when I'm talking about hospitality is you want to sell with the five senses in mind. So you have to appeal to your emotions, both visually and of course the five senses, right? So, and believe it or not, you could even include taste, right? Maybe make homemade cookies or something like that and really make a cozy atmosphere for people. So that maybe there's soft music, warm lighting. I really love warm lighting. I think harsh, bright, white lighting is kind of makes you feel like you're in CVS. So there's all these kind of things where you need to curate, and that's what hospitality, the industry, really does. And you can kind of sense that from watching that video. If people are up to the topic of White Lotus on TV in these Four Seasons hotels that they film in throughout the world, you really get that sense of like, oh wow, this is a beautiful destination. Put aside the plot lines for a minute, but you have this beautiful destination to kind of take in for the scenery there. And it's the same thing here. You want to have that inviting comfort, as I say here in the last sentence. Make people feel comfortable so they can picture themselves living and enjoying the space of your home and want it to become their home. So that's why I say sell with the five senses. And this is an image of, if you already live in the New York City area, this is an image of the oh my gosh, now I'm forgetting the name of the hotel, but it's in downtown Manhattan. It has this huge balcony here. Not balcony, this like triple height space that you can see all the floors of the hotel, and I'm totally forgetting the name of it. But anyways, let's keep going. Oh, let me close this out so you don't have to see that. All right, so like I said, sell with the five senses. So, okay, how do we get there, right? And this is where it's that kind of big uphill battle. How are we going to do it? So, declutter first. Obviously, this is kind of more of an office picture on the left here, but you need to get rid of the junk. Like I said, you've collected 30 years of stuff, and then maybe we're not getting it to the level of like a hotel room here on the right, but you can get the sense of like, how do we make people feel comfortable in this space? So decluttering is, again, it's not even just decluttering, right? It's not, you could make a room look decluttered, but then there might be stuff in the closets, and you have to go through everything. So even the spaces that can't be seen, like closets, because buyers are going to come in, they're going to open everything, right? So we need to do that. Okay, so then we can move on to something potentially that is going to reveal some things. So now we've removed the clutter. We can see what's behind all those books and papers that have been stacking up. We can do a pre-inspection. Now, we can do that ourselves as agents, or we can hire someone who would eventually be hired by the buyer, and they can give a more professional opinion on maybe the structural, the plumbing, the mechanical, the heating. You want to kind of let them in and find anything that a buyer might find later on as a way of kind of not just hedging, but also just kind of preparing so that we're not caught off guard once the whole process starts to happen. Now, out of that comes some options where you might want to keep things as is and just disclose them right away. Maybe you don't want to invest in that situation where there's like a little bit of a crack in the foundation or something. or, if it's structural, you might want to have it looked at so we don't scare buyers off down the road. But if it's something like a leaky faucet, then we're going to want to fix that because that's an easy fix. If it's something like an old chimney, you haven't used it in a long time, you don't want to deal with the chimney sweep. Again, I would always kind of advocate for let's just do as much as we can now so we can have those as selling features. Like if we can have it advertised as a functional fireplace, that's great. If you don't want to go through that expense, then obviously that's something we just say, hey, look, that section over there with that chimney and that fireplace is as is. We don't know quite what's going on, so buyer beware. Talk to somebody about getting it cleaned out or whatever. Now, if it's a structural issue like the top of the chimney's leaning over, then again, want to look into those kind of things just so we know and not get caught off guard when a buyer makes a bid and then everything gets accepted. We go through the legal paperwork and then suddenly, they're scared off by that kind of thing. So we want to avoid that. And again, I brought up cracks. It could be something where there's just like a small crack in the drywall. We're going to want to fix that. It's probably not structural. It's probably just like a settling crack where, the wood is bouncing a little bit, behind the drywall, and we just want to sort of heal that as much as we can. If there's some sort of structural crack, then obviously we might want to look at that from like a structural standpoint and see how that is. But again, it's a case-by-case decision, and it's a person-by-person decision and a house-by-house decision because, every single situation is going to be a little bit different. If we're talking about selling a luxury property that's over a certain price point, then we kind of want to have all these issues ironed out so that we can achieve the highest price point or the highest and best bid for that home. Like I said, if it's one of these where maybe we're going to move towards the path of like, okay, let's just try and get this person an investor cash offer, then we don't need to necessarily do that because the investor's going to take on all that risk. So there's all these kind of scales, sliding scales, so to speak. So let's go to our next slide where we talk about painting. So now we've removed all the clutter, we've done a pre-inspection. Painting is a big thing and it can cost a lot of money. So there's a couple different things we want to keep in mind. So obviously if it's a very, very old home and it hasn't had paint in a long time, maybe we want to do the whole house and just freshen it up. It might cost a lot of money, but it's going to be worth it because we're going to get a crisp, clean presentation when we go to stage it. Or, if you're not moving out and you're leaving furniture, and even if we're staging with your furniture, at least we're starting with that fresh look. And we can, what I was going to say, moving on to the next topic, strong accent walls. If we have that situation where maybe there was a strong accent wall painted however many years ago, if the color is maybe out of style or maybe it's just a little bit too bold, we want to mute it down, that's where we can take advantage of that. Now there's the other thing where we've decluttered everything and now we've just got like, some tarnished areas that maybe we're in a high traffic area and all this kind of stuff. So we need to clean all that up and just get it as good as we can. So it's going to, again, be a case-by-case basis. We would always kind of push, not necessarily push, but recommend doing at least a full, thorough kind of touch-up, if not a full paint job, and definitely cleaning up areas that are obviously had some wear and tear. So we'll talk about that on a case-by-case basis again. So paint is always kind of a tricky one because that can add up, especially on a bigger home. As you can see here, the older home on the left needed a lot of work. There's also exterior paint, which we didn't really, I didn't really mention, but exterior paint could also be another situation where if it hasn't been addressed over the years, and again, we're going for that top dollar approach, we really need the exterior also be shiny as well. For curb appeal and photographs, but also just to kind of ease of mind when that inspector does come for the buyer and they check out, what's going on with that particular home. Even if they've waived the inspection, by the way, they're still going to bring an inspector potentially, and they want to have a gut check, and you want them going into that sale and into that closing table having a good feeling, regardless of whether or not they've waived anything. We can talk about that later, but that's just a quick one. All right, so the other thing we want to talk about is ideal photography, and this has to do with kind of the perfect time of year, if you will, for when photographs can be taken. And this particular topic, we kind of want to move back a little bit and talk about the idea of potentially beginning discussions for something like this, maybe potentially even in a year in advance. I talk a lot about on the channel give us a call whether you're thinking of moving in 7 days or 7 months. This is definitely into the 7 month category, especially if you're calling me in the winter. We're going to start to kind of prioritize and strategize around when are the ideal times of year to take those photographs, and so that we have them ready and ready to go when we need them. And you know, that way maybe we take these photos in the spring, doesn't work out that you're ready to sell, but then November, December comes around and hold on, wait, we really need to move quickly. Some job offer came up, whatever it is, we've got the photos already, and we can move forward in a fall and winter presentation of the home, but have that great, beautiful photography. Now, there could be snowy days that are really pretty, but you really want to show it in its best, brightest light in the springtime, especially if we're doing like drone photography, aerial photography, and video. Want to have all that. So it's a good thing to kind of get on our radar as early as possible so that we can start to schedule some of those photo shoots. And again, exterior we can do without even starting the decluttering process, which is good. But you want to have that good landscaping, the flowers, all that kind of stuff prepared so that we can plan in advance if we're not quite ready there. So that's something where you kind of have the flexibility, and at least you've stored those assets and we can take advantage of them at a later date. Now, if it's today and you're looking to sell by, you know, April or late March, April, May, June, then great, we've got the perfect timeline here to start. So definitely reach out and we can get that going once things start budding and sprouting and that kind of thing. But like I said, if for some reason you decided to hold off, at least then we've got the photos taken early on and we can use those digital assets later on if a winter or a fall sale was to occur. All right, so let's go on to my next topic. So this is my second key, and it's the success triangle. So we've talked about why we had to do all that stuff, which was, you know, getting people in that kind of hospitable, welcoming, comforting situation. But now we're going to start to talk a little bit more about the philosophy, and hopefully I haven't gone into detail about how you can do all these things with the decluttering. We definitely have. Let me go back a little bit here. So we're talking about pre-inspections, decluttering. Sorry to jump back here, but I just want to point out, when we're going into this route of things, we have lots of professionals that are here to help you. You're not alone. You're not having to, go to Home Depot and get all these storage bins and boxes by yourself. There are professionals that we can get you that, obviously that's going to cost money, but it's going to help you figure that out so you're not left by yourself picking up heavy books and this kind of thing. Same thing goes for the pre-inspection. We have these home inspectors that we can get in, and anything they find, we have professionals that we can get you to start to make these whether it's a handyman or a bigger job, that can start to make those changes. So I just wanted to point that out. So that was my reasoning for going back. And again, painting as well. And photography, we of course have photographers and drone. I actually got my drone license last year, which is fun. But anyway, so we have that capability as well. So the success triangle, now we're moving into the philosophy. So hopefully we calmed your nerves slightly on the decluttering and the maintenance and all that kind of stuff. But the success triangle is more looking at the psychology of how we can get the highest, most amount of money quickest for you. So it comes down to these three things. So scarcity right now is kind of, well, first of all, every home is kind of like a painting. It's very unique. Unless you're in a cookie cutter unit of a 50-story building and every single unit is the same on each floor. Now, granted, the first floor is going to have a different view than maybe the 50th floor. But in most cases in a suburban area like the areas we deal with, most houses, again, it could be a cookie cutter floor plan, but over the years people have made modifications. So every home is slightly different. So sort of like a piece of artwork. And this idea of scarcity means that there's only one of those houses. So if you've got the best house on the block and buyers are looking at it and thinking about purchasing, then that's the only one. They only have one of those right now. You could wait 6 months for the one down the street that's sort of similar but doesn't have the right view and this kind of thing. So scarcity. But on top of that, there's scarcity of inventory right now. So you've got uniqueness and also sort of scarcity of inventory. So that's step number one. we're limiting buyers to how much they can actually see. There's only one of these houses I'd love to sell you for, but there's only one, right? Competition. How do we get competition to generate multiple offers? Well, we want to do everything we just talked about in the previous section and getting that extremely well presented so that we attract as many buyers in the door and show that. And part of that competition is also funneling a lot of showings into the same time frame so that buyers see each other and they know, oh wow, there's actually a lot of people that are interested in this property. So we better, if we're going to make an offer, we better get it going. And that's where urgency comes in. So what's been happening right now a lot is you see things come on a Thursday, and by Monday or Tuesday, offers are due. And that's the same sense of number 3 here in the real estate success triangle, urgency. We need to create a compelling bid deadline. And we can't really create a compelling bid deadline unless we've really shored up these other 2 topics here, which are scarcity and competition. So all these 3 elements, and I know I have this kind of looking like the food pyramid, but really it's a triangle. They all kind of work together, and we need all of those. But we can't really create all of these unless we have a proper foundation. So I'm going to talk about the foundation here. And foundation, I used to be an architect, right? So I put a picture of, this is actually they're pouring concrete for a footing, which the foundation would go on top of. So even more important than the foundation is the footing, right? And the foundation here for the real estate success triangle really is pricing strategy. Pricing strategy, there's really 3 ways you can price a home. And really this goes for anything that you're trying to sell, especially if you're talking about artwork or something like that. You can price it high, but then maybe you don't get as many eyeballs on it. And you're kind of negotiating from a point of weakness because you're potentially negotiating one-on-one, or maybe even worse if it's priced too high. And really you've lost your leverage, right? Because the buyer knows, okay, I'm the only guy really talking this. You know, it's been on the market for 90 days. There's probably not that many other people talking about it. The second one is price it accurately. Like, okay, we know based on the comparable evidence and trend lines that this home is going to sell for a certain amount of money. So we're going to price it accurately. But the thing is, we're still not capturing as many potential eyeballs as we can, so we can create that other piece of the puzzle, which is competition. So competition, as you see here, is going to be a very crucial part. We need to generate that buzz so we can ultimately create the bid deadline. And price below expectation, that's the third one, and that's the one I have in green. The reason for that is, again, we want to capture as many eyeballs on the property as possible. So if we're looking at sort of if we think about it from like a supply and demand curve, the demand is decreasing as price gets higher and higher, if that makes sense. So in order to get as many people in the door that are thinking about that property, we need to kind of price it a little bit below expectation so that more and more people can see it. So let's just use the example of $1 million property. If we price it at, let's say we price it at $899. Well, now we're getting the people that were searching up to 900. They didn't quite think they could reach the $1 million mark from their budget, but to be honest, they probably could. If I've looked at a lot of pre-approvals in the past, they probably can reach $1 million, but they don't want to pay the mansion tax and all these things. But maybe they would if they saw the right property. So we want to catch that on their radar. And unfortunately, the other side of that is we do want to get people in the door so that the people that do have the higher budgets that are, maybe they can go up to 1.1 million or 1.2 million, they see all this frenzy of activity on the open houses. And, hopefully I'm not giving away the whole story here, but you get the idea. They see that and it creates the sense of competition. And when we create the bid deadline, it all adds up. They want that house. There's scarcity. There's only one of those houses with the really nice view out the back of the nice garden and this kind of thing. So we can't really do that if we're pricing it high and waiting for people to come to us, and then we're going to have to come down. That is a strategy, but it's going to create very few showings, going to create sort of a stagnant environment, and days on the market start to climb. People start to question, oh, what's wrong with it, We don't want that situation. We want people to get in the door right away, love it, and just get going as quickly as possible. So that's that's our foundation or our footing to the real estate success triangle. So how do we get there? And this is I kind of left this in there, but again, explaining that supply and demand situation where the higher the price, the fewer the buyers. So you need to kind of shift the curve a little bit of that price bracket. You can read that if you want, but it's probably need to edit that. So let's talk about, again, this is the pricing strategy psychology, which I just talked about. Set below, generate the buzz, and then trigger a bidding war. And we don't have to call it a bidding war. I know that sounds kind of bad, but it's really creating that sense of urgency in the deadline. Multiple offers, so we can get the terms we're looking for as the seller. All right, so how do we get there? We've done the work of preparing, doing all the photography, this and that. We've done the pricing strategy. Well, how do we get it out there? Well, we have a triple tier marketing approach, and I think this is where it makes it really the new, better way that a lot of people aren't really taking into account. And I'll be honest, I think as days go by, we're getting people into the second tier of social media. Oops, where's my mouse? So we're getting a lot of people into the second tier of social media. But most people are really relying on traditional MLS. And that's great, right? That's going to get it out to everybody that's following all the updates and has the saved searches, and all the realtors and other network people. But the second part of that is we really need more of a robust campaign. So we're getting into social media videos, sharing that on all the different networks. Here, YouTube. But then the third part that makes it the triple threat is strategic digital advertising. So YouTube ads, Instagram ads, getting it a little bit more of a broad audience so that maybe people that weren't even thinking about buying, they see this house, they're like, oh my gosh, this pool in the backyard, I can see myself there, right? I need to have that. And that's where the third tier really sets everything apart. And because of that, I'm going to move on to my next slide. That's where we created the 1,000 video impression guarantee, so that we can make sure that the video ads that are showing, on top of the organic material that we're going to create and post on YouTube and Instagram, people really fall in love with video, and they want a story. The only way to really get them to fall in love with a story is through video. Photos are great. You can do a carousel. Photos are good for curating unique features of a property that you just want to show in like a sort of like what's the word I'm looking for, like a vignette. Like, here's a really cool section that's just off the dining room that is a wet bar or whatever, and you could really feature your collection here or whatever, or maybe it has a wine cellar as well. Those are sort of the things that photography does, but video really allows people to kind of get in there and really experience the space. So that's why we created this. On top of the traditional and this social, we're going to be paying for a guaranteed situation where we create at least 100,000 video impressions for your property. And I know that kind of sounds obtuse, but it is a certain amount that's really going to get it out there, so a lot of people are seeing it. All right, so let's jump to the next slide, and we're almost done here. Just want to see the time clock here. 41 minutes. Wow, how did that go so long? Hopefully you haven't been bored by this, but how do we maximize your home's value? I think we talked about it a lot here. Preparation, understanding the real estate success triangle, and creating a triple threat for marketing with traditional, social, and digital. We're here to be expert guides for you and really help you get you across the table, to the closing table, and achieve your real estate goals for 2025 and as things go beyond. This is YouTube. It's going to sit online for a long time. But really dedicated service, going back to the key success strategy, sharing knowledge so you can make informed decisions, having expert experiences, and your success coming first. That's what we're here to achieve for you, and really be advocates and help you achieve your goals in real estate. So that is that's basically 99% of my presentation. Take control of your sale. I think the triple threat 100,000 guarantee impression is really something that's unique and something that can bring your listing to the next level, and paired that with all the other strategies in terms of decluttering and the real estate success triangle and pricing strategy, that can really bring you over the top to make sure we get you what you're looking for. So you could sell faster for more money with less stress. And like I said, de-stressing is going to really help with having the right professionals on board. So that's something that you really need to keep in mind when you're thinking about this process. You're not having to do it alone. There's a lot of people that are here to help you, not just on the real estate side, but also on the preparation side. So definitely reach out. We'd love to be able to help you and get you sort of thinking about strategies, thinking about potentially getting on track for that photography schedule and that kind of thing, and really helping you achieve those things. So if anyone's on and would like to ask some questions, definitely feel free to leave that in the chat. You can scan this QR code. It's the same one that you're seeing on the side. It's going to take you to a page where you can book time on my calendar. And if you don't see anything in particular that's matching up with your schedule, you can definitely email me or call me and we can set something up bespoke. The other thing I should say is I did another one of these. I should have said this at the beginning, but I did another YouTube Live a couple weeks ago. Actually, it was about a month ago in January. And we did a buyer seminar. I have that recording. If you're interested, if you're a buyer and you happen to be if you're a buyer and you happen to be watching, definitely reach out to me with an email, and I can share you a link to that private recording that I have from Zoom. I do have it online, and I can share that with you. I don't have that saved onto YouTube right now, but I have it in a different folder, so I could save that. And of course, if you're just kind of informally wanting to learn more about that, I've got that in there. But if you want to have a one-on-one phone call and learn a little bit more, talk to me about your specific situation, I'd love for you to do that. So you can scan the QR code. I'm not seeing any comments, so I'll wait a few more minutes because, again, I know there's that 20-second delay, so we'll see if anything catches up there. But like I said, if you're a buyer and you're also trying to figure out like what town you're interested in, definitely check out the channel. You can see a lot of information about each town, and hopefully that'll help you get settled if you're thinking about moving to the New York City area, or if you're thinking about leaving New York and Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, and you're thinking about settling in a Midtown direct suburb. Definitely keep that in mind. If you're a seller, I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope you'll take control of your sale, reach out to us, and we can get you on an appointment and figure out how we can achieve your goals. What path, like I said, what path we might want to go down for you if there's certain comfort levels that you want to follow through with. But I'm here to be a resource for you, and I think I'll leave it there. If I missed anything, definitely reach out to me via email. I'll put that down in the description, and you can always give me a call or an email. Once again, my name's Jeff Massey. I'm a realtor here in the North Jersey area, Midtown Direct, suburbs of New York City. Please do feel free to reach out and get in touch. Thank you for spending time with us today. Thank you for letting me into your home, and I hope that together we can either help find your next one or sell your current one. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot.